Getting ready to step into your career era? Set yourself apart with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Hone your skills with apps like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, and more, powered with the latest in creative AI. Students save over 55% so you can build a portfolio you're proud of. Launch your future with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Visit adobe.com/students to learn more.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And this is Rita Cosby filling in for my buddy Roger Stone. And boy, oh boy, some enormous news just a little bit ago. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson was read the charges against him for being accused of assassinating our friend Charlie Kirk. And we got to hear his voice for the very first time. Listen to this guy. The judge asked him his name. He just sat there motionless, and he was wearing a suicide smock because he is in special custody. He is facing 7 counts, including a death penalty. He could face the death penalty. And guess what? In Utah, they don't fool around. It's either lethal injection or firing squad. And if anybody deserves the full punishment, it is this guy. We just heard today about the brutality of this crime, how he was confessing to the crime. And we're going to talk about all of this. And I want to hear your thoughts on what you think he should face and the fact that it looks like there were a lot of people in this dark chat room that were aware of what he was doing. At least it looks like before and some after, and maybe even some during. So if that's the case and there were individuals that knew that this guy was planning to kill Charlie Kirk, throw the book at them too. What do you think should happen to them as well? 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And here is Tyler Robinson. This is the man, the monster, the 22-year-old who's accused of assassinating our friend Charlie Kirk. Here he is in court for the first time.
Could you state your name?
Tyler James Robinson.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Robinson.
Wild to see him speaking. And then he just sat there like no big deal, just sort of like he was ordering lunch, just kind of sitting there in court. It just showed the dehumanization, I think, of so many people that are turning to the dark web. What about the people that are out there mocking the death of Charlie Kirk? It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And if you look at the evidence today, boy, was it damning. Some of the conversations, the text messages that were read back and forth between the attacker and his boyfriend, he confesses to him. According to authorities, it's all right there. And also, his mother said that the guy was radicalizing. His mother and his father apparently were trying to kind of help him. And they said in the last year or so, he became extreme. So then what was he doing again with a gun? Apparently, he had his grandfather's gun. It was given to him as a gift. It was that gun that was used in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So there's a lot of questions here tonight, but I think there's a lot of mistakes made. If your son is violent, don't buy him a gun. If your son is violent and troubled, maybe you have a responsibility to get him mental help. I don't know what they were giving him or doing or helping him or not, but he clearly seems like he was filled with absolute rage and absolute hate. And yet there he was out in society planning to assassinate Charlie Kirk. And we learned today he had been planning it for about a week. And here is what the DA, Jeff Gray, said today. He's the Utah County District Attorney. And this is what he said the mother described as the change she saw in her son. Take a listen.
They're agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son.
Can you imagine? And then they confronted the son. They finally convinced him to turn himself in. But it was only because they said, "This is you, son." And guess what? He also put that in writing. He was asked by many individuals, "Why did you do it?" By his roommate, "Why did you do it?" And listen to what he said in one of the texts. This is read by the DA, Jeff Gray, as to why this guy killed Charlie Kirk.
Mate, why? Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it.
So he's aware that they're looking for him. They're looking for the gun. And he's just sort of laying in wait there, trying to wait for authorities to leave. This is according to the text messages that he sends to his roommate. He says, "Hey, look under the keyboard. That's where there's a note." And then he starts texting him with this back and forth. And then he tells the roommate, "I got to go back and get the gun that's left behind." By the way, they also admitted today that the DNA on the gun matches the shooter. So the weapon that they found that they can connect to the shooting is connected to the shooter. I mean, it's pretty straight ahead. So what is he going to say? He's insane? He can't say he's insane. He plotted it. He planned it for a week, and he knew enough to go back and get the gun. It was calculating. It was planned before, and it was planned afterwards. So he can't say, guys, that he is insane. So here's a little bit more. Here is the Utah County DA saying what this guy, Tyler Robinson, said in the text messages to his boyfriend. Listen to this.
Robinson again. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke all right. I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing sucks.
Isn't that amazing? He's not feeling remorse for what he did, for killing Charlie Kirk. He's upset because maybe his grandpa's going to be mad that he used his gun that he got as a gift. He's worried about the fingerprints. He's worried about his grandfather being angry at him, not worried about the killing. And then here is the doozy. And this to me is absolutely damning, guys. Again, this is Rita Cosby filling in for my friend Roger Stone on this very big news night as we're getting details, chilling details about the 22-year-old Tyler Robinson who's accused of killing Charlie Kirk, with the district attorney just revealing many new shocking details And boy, I think they've got this guy dead to rights. I mean, listen to this. Here is a lock solid case, because in these text messages to his boyfriend that he moved in with, the boyfriend sounds like he doesn't know what's going on and asks him, were you the one? And listen to what the DA says is in the text message. This is the full confession.
On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange, then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you." Roommate, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson, I am. I'm sorry. Roommate, "I thought they caught the person." Robinson, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering."
Unbelievable when you hear the full details there. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222 is the number to call. And this is Rita Cosby in for my friend Roger Stone on this very busy news night. Let's go to Robert in Brooklyn on line 2. Robert, your thoughts. This really it's chilling, and the lack of remorse, the sort of matter-of-factness, and that he just feels like there's no big deal telling his roommate, who seems surprised, I'm going to go back and get the gun. I don't want my grandfather to be upset. I think the grandfather and the family would be a lot more upset that he murdered somebody than using the gun. My goodness, Robert.
Thanks for taking my call. Well, you mentioned before on Captain Cosby, Professor Dershowitz, and also the judge had mentioned that it's very hard to prove incitement to violence. That being said, people have a moral responsibility. The Professor Dershowitz, as well as the judge, mentioned there's a moral responsibility to be careful what people say. Just because you could say something doesn't mean you should say it. Very disturbingly, the prior host who was filling in for Mark Levin, Ben Ferguson, was pointing out the polls that indicate that while the baby boomers were much more intolerant, they said it was never acceptable to have violence. It's been going, as you go down the generations, now Generation Z, there are polls, one is like 44% believe violence was never acceptable, one said it's 58%. Baby boomers, it was like never acceptable. You have these kids who are being deconditioned to that violence is acceptability, and you have these people, these politicians who keep using rhetoric like fascism and stuff like that. It's just horrific. And I just want to also point out that on Post Early today, he alluded to something that Donald Trump Jr. had retweeted from Libs of TikTok. The Arctic Frost. He released it today when Grassley had the Patel, Kash Patel, before the committee. They found that the Senate. They found that the deep state had targeted. I think it was either the FBI, the DOJ, had targeted 92 Republican organizations, including RNC, including TPUSA, including Charlie Kirk's group. May he rest in peace. By
the way, Robert, I'm not surprised to hear that they were targeting and that's why Charlie was such a hugely high-profile young individual, galvanizing young people. He was a threat, and that's why this crazy guy decided to kill him because he didn't like that he was galvanizing so many young people. He said that he was full of hate. But this monster was the one who was full of hate. Charlie was the one who wanted dialogue, who opened the door, who wanted to talk to people. That's what he represented. And you hit it on the head that this cycle of violence is so disturbing. Robert, when I look at some of the statistics, there was a Rutgers study that just took place, and it said that 56% of people who self-identified as progressive said killing Trump is somewhat justified. I'd say that's a problem. And 21% of those who self-identified as liberals said violence is justified to achieve political goals. That is a shocking number. We as society absolutely have to do better, and we have to call out hate when we see it. You can't give it a pass. And to your point about incitement, you think about some of the rhetoric that has come even from some Democratic members of Congress. I mean, even since Charlie Kirk has been murdered, we've heard Ilhan Omar. We've heard a lot of people, J.B. Pritzker, blaming the president or blaming Charlie Kirk. These people have no moral compass. It is shocking. And I'm glad you hit on a lot of those points, Robert, because they are so important. We're going to continue your calls, everybody, after the break. This is Rita Cosby in for my friend Roger Stone, 1-800-848-9222.
Only Murders in the Building, Season 5.
The hit Hulu original is back.
The night Buster died, he was talking with this mobster.
Was he killed in a hit? We need to go face to face with the mob.
Get ready for a season
Buongiorno, signore.
Oh, this is how I die.
you can't refuse.
You're gonna save the day, like you always do, by being smart, sharp, and almost always by mistake.
The Hulu original series, Only Murders in the Building, premieres September 9th. Streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply. New episodes Tuesdays.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And this is Rita Cosby filling in for my dear friend Roger Stone on the Stone Zone on this big news night with these details coming out tied to the man accused, the 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk. Some stunning, by the way, commentary. And boy, if this isn't a sign of the times. An ABC News reporter is now getting hammered, deservedly so. I just told you about those conversations, the text messages where the killer confesses to his boyfriend. Well, this ABC News reporter says those text messages were intimate, fulsome, and very touching text messages. Are you kidding me? That is how some people in the mainstream media are interpreting it. I call them cold and calculating. ABC News, ABC Television says touching.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Breaking news.
And this is Rita Cosby in for my dear friend Roger Stone on this busy news night. A new Marist poll of likely New York City voters, again showing Mamdani with a significant lead. Yes, the socialist Mamdani far ahead, 45%. The closest person in this poll is Cuomo, which is what it looks like in most of the polls. But Mamdani is almost twice as much as Cuomo. It looks like his lead has increased. And then you've got Cuomo at 24%. You've got Sliwa Curtis at 17%, Adams at 9%, and undecided 5%. But boy, oh boy, this is a troubling number, showing that Mamdani's lead looks like it is expanding as opposed to reducing. There's less than 2 months, of course, till Election Day. And boy, is New York City in trouble. And now, of course, you got New York City Governor Kathy Hochul, who has also endorsed Mamdani. And her latest polls show that that was a good thing for her, although there's a story today that Mamdani is not jumping to endorse her. So much for, I guess, when you make a deal with the devil, you can't necessarily trust the devil. Isn't that amazing? She endorses him. clearly, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. He's definitely disparate to her on a lot of issues. She's been supportive of the Jewish community. I contend he's anti-Semitic. She's been much more supportive of the NYPD. I contend he certainly has not been. Defund the police all the way. So then she endorses him finally. And then today he's asked if he's going to endorse her, and he won't even answer. So, boy, oh boy, what does that say? 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And again, this is Rita Cosby in for my dear friend, Roger Stone. Meantime, the big news today is that the Utah District Attorney announcing stunning evidence against the assassin, the man accused of killing our dear friend Charlie Kirk. And this may not be the end. There may be other people pulled in because this guy was on the dark web. He was talking about the case. He was also definitely in text messages telling his live-in boyfriend that, can you hide the evidence? Can you destroy the evidence? Yeah, it was me. I did it. I got to go back and get the gun. I mean, there is so much out there that is so damning to this guy. And there may be others who may be inspired. Robert from Brooklyn, who just called in, talked about this. And this to me is also another big area that there may be other people who were online with him, that were maybe inciting him, that were radicalizing him, that were aware that he was planning it, maybe even helped him with some of the planning. And listen to this exchange just a little bit ago. This is with the FBI Director Kash Patel and Senator John Kennedy, who asked him some details about others.
There are a number of individuals that are currently being investigated and interrogated, and a number yet to be investigated and interrogated specific to that chat room. So we are very much in our ongoing posture of investigation.
So others could have been involved?
Yes, sir.
He doesn't hesitate. Yes, sir. And then he said in that dark chat room, there were more than 20. We at first heard that there might have been like 20 people. And Kash Patel said, many more. This is a no-nonsense guy, Kash Patel. Many more, he said. Listen to what Professor Alan Dershowitz told us earlier on Katz and Cosby. This is interesting because he says, clearly, death penalty's on the table. It's aggravated murder. In Utah, there is a death penalty. Either lethal injection or firing squad. Believe it or not, they're one of 5 states that have firing squad still on the books. And this guy, what he did to Charlie Kirk, it's heinous, it's horrible and gruesome. And it was clearly a political statement. He did it in front of family members and kids. Remember, it was a crowded group that were there supporting Charlie Kirk and wanting to hear his message when the guy opened fire and killed him. And Alan Dershowitz said there may only be one route for this guy to possibly even remotely escape the death penalty. And listen to what Alan Dershowitz said.
At the moment, they've only come up with one real aggravating factor. And so, although it seems to me this is a strong case if you're going to have a death penalty, for the death penalty, if he can persuade prosecutors to exchange the death penalty for valid and useful information, I don't think prosecutors are going to be willing to do it, though. I think the people in this country and the people in that state particularly are really anxious to see this guy go before a firing squad, which is the way they execute people in Utah. And so I don't think he's going to be able to make a deal, but it might be the only option his lawyers have. You know, it's going to take a very gutsy lawyer and a very skilled lawyer to take on this case. I mean, this is a case that makes some of my cases look easy. I mean, I represented some very unpopular defendants and got a lot of pushback for it. But this is a case where whichever lawyer takes it is going to really have to have a very, very thick skin.
And he believes the only way is by saying, look, here are these people that were online with me. Look at what they were doing to maybe radicalize me and others, or they were part and parcel of this. Somehow point the finger somewhere else in addition to himself. I mean, they clearly have him. I mean, look at the evidence. It is so strong. And I bet you this is just the tip of the iceberg. I bet you there is so much more than they even revealed today. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Brian in Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Brian. Your thoughts tonight. This is Rita Cosby in for my dear friend Roger. Go ahead.
Hi, Rita. I'm way out here in Western Pennsylvania, and my husband and I love the Roger Stone show.
Oh, great!
And I'm so glad to talk with you. Maybe you remember me from a while back, but anyway,
I was going to say I thought I did. I recognize that. I recognize the voice. It's really great to hear from you again, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to send my prayers to the family of Mr. Kirk and say this. To me, it's a little encouraging. The LGBT community has been taken over by these socialists, and they're being employed to do atrocious things. But because of this heinous act, I saw some reports where young gay people have sort of woken up. One fellow said he's been lied to by his community. Another fellow in Philadelphia, I believe, went to a vigil, and he went in drag because he wanted to cause problems, but nobody caused any problems to him. He said, I was welcomed, and he even said he felt that the conservatives were inclusive. This is very important because most gay people do not accept the agenda of the LGBTQ community. And in your story, the prosecutor recounted where, the lover was surprised. Was it you? And all like this. These people are waking up. It's real now. And the young people, Mr. Kirk was open to gay people. He encouraged them to speak up when they disagreed with things. And this is vital because gay rights, there are no more rights that I need in this country. We have all the rights we need. And the whole issue is when you're a gay man or a lesbian woman, we are proud of who we are. The whole trans movement and the socialist left movement has taken over our gay pride. And what happens in socialism is they target a demographic, and then later enslave them. History has told us that. 1910 in Portugal.
Brian, you're bringing up some really powerful points. And I think about also, by the way, log cabin Republicans. That is one of the early groups of gay Republicans. And it's interesting. I have friends who are gay, who said to me, Rita, I am appalled by what happened to Charlie Kirk. I'm disgusted by what happened to Charlie Kirk, and they're shocked, that somehow they feel like they have been sort of lumped in here. And the other thing you brought up too about the roommate, and I want to go back to that because I think that's a really powerful point. This roommate who was transitioning from a guy to a girl, apparently, it looks like had no knowledge of this whatsoever and clearly seems to be cooperating and absolutely doing the right thing. And to me, what happened here in this case is evil. This just has to do with evil people. And they're good people from all sexualities, all walks of life, all different political stripes. And that's what I think the important message is, and especially that you're sharing here too, Brian, that, good people who care about each other, who care about respecting each other's family values or whether it's, even if it's different political stripes, that's exactly what Charlie represented. And in this particular case, this roommate seems to be doing absolutely all the right things by cooperating fully, clearly doesn't look like had any knowledge, at least based on the text messages, and seems to be sharing everything with law enforcement. And it's important that everybody speak out and realize that good people need to stand together. And I've seen a number of people. There was another story that you kind of touched on when you talked about the person showing up at one of the events and wondering what the response would be. And the response was one of love and acceptance. And I've seen stories of late that there are people that were in the Democratic Party who say, this is not my party, especially when they see some of the comments coming from people online and even some members of Congress who have been nothing but full of hate and blasting Charlie Kirk and saying he deserved it or Trump inspired this. They're saying this is not the Democratic Party that they recognized or any party that they recognized, and I think we all need to stand together. Good people of all kinds need to all stand together and condemn this. And that's why your message is really, really refreshing and really powerful, Brian. Do you think, I'm curious, Brian, the other day, the Utah governor came out and he made, I thought, a really powerful statement. This is right when everything, luckily they had just, arrested this guy, and he came out and he said, we're entering a really dark period. And a lot of this is because this was clearly a political hit job. There's no doubt that this was politically targeted. That's why they're also seeking the death penalty in this case for the aggravating circumstances. But the governor said, I don't know where we're on the pendulum of hate, of danger, that we are either at the beginning of the dark period where we're really on the verge of just a really horrible, divisive time in this country because of the reactions of people, especially those who've been condemning Trump or even blaming Charlie Kirk, which is, all of this is disgusting, heralding, it seems like, the death, which is horrible. But then he said we also may be at the beginning of the end of it, of this dark period. Maybe this is a turning point, a wake-up moment. What do you think, Brian?
It is a turning point, because here's the problem that I see. It's not political. It's evil. And people have to wake up and realize that anti-Christ, anti-Judaism forces are at work here. And it's a shame that young people today who have so many other problems, and I'm talking the gay community, also now have socialist and communist hate coming at them. And you were mentioning your friends. It's wonderful that they come out and tell you, but we must start telling Americans we love our country, the gay community. A lot of gay people work for the government. They come from military families. They come from service. We love our country. We love our president. And this is more than just political. These people are evil, and we must accept it, because the goal of socialism and communism has one goal, and that's antichrist.
No, I agree, and I love how you're shaping it as a good versus evil. All good people need to band together, and I think we're on the verge of some really dangerous period if good people don't stand up and speak out and join forces. I just think there's some very dangerous things. I never in my lifetime, first of all, it's still shocking to me. I knew Charlie, so to me it's horrible what happened. And to see some of the fallout afterwards from people who, didn't know him or just didn't like him, whatever the reason is, it's been shocking to me. And we have to do better as a society. And I love your message, Brian. It's really powerful to hear and really inspiring to hear. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to hear from you again. Thank you. And let's go to Sue in Pennsylvania on line 4. Go ahead, Sue. It's Rita Cosby in for Roger. Go ahead.
Well, it's hard to follow that caller. That was a great call. But my question has to do with the amount of detail that the DA shared today. It was stunning, and it was very damning. Basically, he admitted his guilt and things like that. So my question is, why would they share that amount of detail with the possibility that it could taint or contaminate the jury pool? Or do you think that they might have done that purposely so that they would opt for a bench trial? And basically, like your show earlier today, somebody was saying that they might just plead guilty to avoid a jury trial. So I was just wondering what you thought about that, the sharing of that much detail, because it's very clear that, I don't see how he could have anything but a guilty verdict.
I think, Sue, great question. I think two. One is it could be the objective that, look, we got a lot of evidence, don't even, think about it. And obviously it could persuade him to just, escape a trial altogether and just have to go before a judge for the sentencing. And maybe try to bring in some others somehow. Maybe he has evidence of all these dark websites. I can't see how anybody would actually accept anything other than the death penalty, because the case is so horrific and it is so clear. And to me, it's just there's so many There's the aggravating circumstance that he did it politically. There's also that he did it in front of kids. I mean, when you shoot into a crowd, there were so many people that were, feet away that could have been killed. I mean, many others. It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And clearly it was a direct political statement against Charlie Kirk. And that's what they're saying. So I think two things. Maybe that's the purpose. The other message is I also think that even though we heard so much today, there was a lot of things we didn't hear today. We didn't hear about, remember the red clothes that he was wearing earlier? Apparently he got rid of them somewhere else. But I think that there's a lot more detail that didn't come out today, and as overwhelming and as stunning as the information and the breadth that we heard today, which I agree with you. I mean, I feel they have overwhelming. My jaw dropped when I heard how much they have on this guy. I still think it's only the tip of the iceberg. I think they have a lot more that they're still holding close to the vest. So I think they're trying to send a clear message. We have this guy. Don't think it's someone else, conspiracy people. Here's a guy who plotted to show exactly what he did, the mythology, the plotting, the planning. He said he's been planning it for about a week, and then afterwards hiding it. So he can't claim he's insane. I think they're trying to kibosh sort of conspiracy and rumors. And then on the other hand, also saying that there may have been other people who also helped. I think they're going to go after everybody, but I think this is just the tip of the iceberg of what they had. So I think this guy will face the death penalty, and deservedly so. 1-800-848-9222. We'll continue your calls after the break. It's Rita Cosby in for Roger Stone.
The Stone Zone, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And this is Rita Cosby filling in for Roger Stone on the Stone Zone. By the way, Luigi Mangione was also in court today, and the judge got rid of the domestic terrorism charges against him, saying what he did not, quote, qualify for terrorism. And one of the craziest things that happened was outside the courtroom, his supporters cheered. They thought, this is great news for our friend Luigi. And there's a GoFundMe up there to support Luigi, again, who killed the United Healthcare CEO. You see the video in cold blood. $1.2 million is what has been raised on that GoFundMe. And sadly, when I looked today and I saw 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, I thought, there's going to be people probably setting up some GoFundMe for this monster too as well. I think society, in many ways, not all of us, but some people have lost their morals. Everybody, I will be back at 10 p.m. on The Rita Cosby Show, and I look forward to talking to you then.
Thanks for listening to The Stone Zone with Roger Stone. You can hear The Stone Zone with Roger Stone weeknights at 8 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?